Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Facci'S Cinema once again, continuing my series where I bring on other content creators and interview their crazy ass, no matter who it is. And today, I got, you may call him the beautiful blonde bombshell. I don't know what you want to call him, but he got locks of dripping with gold goodness. He is from the YouTube channel Movie Watch Daily. His name is Justin, and he is right.
Ow!
Look at that guy.
Hell of an intro as my dog knocks my camera. What's going on, buddy? Welcome, or I said welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Appreciate you.
And like I said before, I finally knocked off the Rad Pack trifecta by having the last member of the Rad Pack I haven't had on yet. So
That's right.
super stoked to have Justin here tonight. I love the vibe of his channel. I love the vibe of the Rad Pack. Overall, it's just definitely hitting for me big time. So glad that
that's awesome.
So welcome to the channel for the very first time. So glad you're here. And now we're going to get to know you a little bit, obviously, because we've never met, never talked before. So this is definitely going to be interesting as hell. We already got Cody.
It's like a first date. We got a first date going on. This is what we got going on here. This is cute.
There has to be a first, you know.
That's right.
There was one with Garrett, and then we had Mel, and now it's you. So
that's right.
Let's see how it goes. But first and foremost, tell everybody what exactly Movie Watch Daily is about. What is your channel based off of? What do you like to deliver over there? Let the people know.
Yeah, it's kind of evolved. I actually have two channels now. The first one, the main channel, is Movie Watch Daily. I think I started my channel at the same time that a lot of people started channels when the pandemic hit. And there was a little extra time. You needed something to, a little bit of community, and that's exactly what I found. It's been a wild ride, man. I started the channel mainly not doing really many movie reviews or anything, just kind of talking about. I didn't know what the hell I was going to do when I started my channel. I just knew I had wanted to for a long time, and when the pandemic hit, I thought it was just the perfect time. I had a lot of movies to talk about because my collection was growing, and my love for the genre has always been there, but only within the past, I don't know, maybe 6, 7, 8 years as to where I found there's tons of people on YouTube talking about those weird movies I love, or physical media, VHS tapes, Blu-rays, 4Ks. So I just started showing my hauls and talking about movies, and slowly meeting people, find people like Cody and Mel and Garrett and all these amazing people. And then because I wasn't punishing myself enough, I wasn't busy enough, I started a second channel because I kind of wanted to I wanted to do the physical media stuff and the collecting stuff, but I kind of wanted to dedicate a whole channel to it. So I went ahead and started the Dead Couch. So on Movie Watch Daily, I'll do movie reviews and trailer reactions and top 10 lists, more current stuff. And then on the Dead Couch, I'm focusing on all the collectibles, the arcade games and 4Ks and silly shit like that. It's a very long-winded answer, but it kind of evolved. I didn't know what I was doing when I first started. I had never owned a real camera. I had never edited a video. I had never used a light or anything like that. And it's been just the last 2 or 3 years have been just pure discovery and meeting amazing people like yourself. And yeah, that's basically it in a very big nutshell, I guess.
And my intro to YouTube is the exact same.
Cool.
Exactly the same. Pandemic happened. Saw the other people doing YouTube videos talking about the stuff that I love. So I was like, why not? Even if I suck, which,
yeah,
obviously when I started, I was not very good, and I didn't expect to be because I had no idea what I was doing. Like you said, I started the channel doing reviews and whatnot, but as I did it, I really wasn't finding too much enjoyment by just doing movie reviews. To be honest, I pretty much watched a movie, took a whole page of notes, then just literally recap the whole movie that they just could have watched instead of listening to me about it. So I didn't want to continue to do that. So I think the best thing about YouTube is evolving and switching up what exactly we do.
Yeah.
You don't want to be stagnant and just, stay on the same path, which obviously you're not. And it's very successful for you, obviously.
I'll tell you what, man, it's tough. I think just because movie reviews specifically it's a lot it's hard to do. Reviewing movies aren't easy. It's easy to say, I like this movie, you should go see it. But when it
Mhm.
comes to like talking and analyzing movies and the themes and like sounding like you said, like you're not just regurgitating the plot and you're actually giving a thoughtful opinion,
Uh-huh.
it's really difficult. And I look I look back at some of my old, you mentioned like you evolve and get better as you go along. So when I go back to my earliest videos, I cringe like so hard watching my older stuff. um I just hate watching myself with those older videos because like it was very clear that I was extremely uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I wasn't used to being on camera. I didn't have a microphone or anything, so I just set my phone up and just got the loud room echo. But somehow people didn't care, and I found people that still watch my videos. Um, to this day, I have a handful of those diehards that are still there, and it's just crazy to think about how it's been almost 3 years, over 2 years. It's fucking
Yeah, I
wild.
think what is it? Yeah, I think it's going on my third year anniversary. It honestly seems forever. Maybe it's only 3 years. I think.
Congrats, dude.
I think yeah, my anniversary's coming up. I think I released my first video June 6th of 2019, I think. And
Oh
it was
wow.
in, sitting in like a camping chair with like one rinky dink light behind my head and
Yeah.
literally reading notes off a page that you could clearly see that I was just reading off the piece of paper.
Yeah.
Obviously it's fine. It's fun. The community that has been built throughout this whole time is amazing. Everybody's there to support one another for the most part. I mean, I really haven't had any bad experiences with any fellow content creators, so
That's good.
that's a plus. I mean, I don't know if you have had any bad experiences.
The only bad experiences I've had are a couple like bad movie reviews that I did. There's a couple movies in particular that I really shredded and I just got really horrendous comment. I didn't like the new Candyman movie.
I didn't really like it
And
that much either.
I just didn't think it was that great of a movie. And there was a lot of I don't know. You would have thought I started World War III because I didn't love Candyman. That was probably the biggest amount of negativity that I've ever had on YouTube. But other than that, it's been nothing but positive. I've ended up, meeting and becoming friends with people who I've watched for a long time,
Mhm.
and it's just crazy to be on the same stream with people I watched for years and meeting new people. And, the Rad Pack is coming on a year.
Damn.
Our big anniversary year show is going to be happening. I think it's July 17th. Um, it's just time flies, man. And I kind of get nostalgic when I talk about cringing watching my old stuff, but it's also nostalgic, realizing when you go and look at something you achieved or you started that you didn't know anything about, that
Mhm.
you weren't that good at, and then you look at how far you've come, because when I started my channel, I didn't know anybody on YouTube, but I just talked to people through comments.
Yeah.
And now I have a bunch of people that I talk to, and I learned how to make, halfway decent videos. And it's cool to build something because with the channel you can do whatever you want. You have the freedom to talk about whatever you want
Mhm.
and give your opinions and meet people who have the same or different opinions. And it's a beautiful thing, man. I'm also a big thing that did start my YouTube thing is I just recently fi- turned 5 years sober. I had a 5 year sober anniversary. And if I had not gotten sober at that point in time 5 years ago, I definitely wouldn't be talking to you or anybody else too. That's something I don't talk about a lot because not a lot of people care, but the people who do have those kind
Mhm.
of issues, I like to mention it sometimes because there's a lot of people
Yeah.
who struggle with addiction, whether it's drugs or alcohol. And
Yep.
if you get out of it, you can accomplish things that you didn't think you'd be able to do. So,
Well, congratulations, buddy.
oh,
I'm
thanks,
I'm
man.
happy
Yeah.
for you, man. That's great. And obviously you've turned around and you're freaking killing it on YouTube all because of being sober. That's amazing, man.
Thank you,
Congratulations.
man.
No problem. Obviously you're a big horror fan as well.
Yeah.
I'm assume. So what what would be your favorite horror movie of all time?
My favorite horror movie of all time is The Shining. That's my favorite. Um, I love that movie. It's one of the ones that I could just rewatch over and over and over again. There's a handful of other movies that kind of fit that category,
Mhm.
but for me, it always goes back to The Shining. There's something so intoxicating about that movie, about the performances, and of course, like Kubrick's camera work and the weird dialogue and kind of ambiguity of the ending and the circumstances surrounding the
Yeah.
whole movie itself. There's so much mystery around it, and it's weird as shit, and it's scary as fuck, and I love it. That's my favorite. That's my favorite horror movie.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I just watched that movie for the first time a couple months ago.
Did you watch it on your stream where you do the first with
I
death?
did.
Okay.
No, I watched that one on my own.
What'd you think?
Actually, I'm not. Obviously, it's a slow burn movie, so
It's a lot to take in the first time. It might take a couple times, honestly.
I'm not a huge slow burn guy, but
Yeah,
I was really
that's understandable.
enticed. It drew me in the whole time. I wasn't bored or anything. I really enjoyed it. And then I heard about Dr. Sleep, and I was like, I don't know if I want to watch that. And then I watched that, and I was just like, what? Damn! I was like, that is so.
So
good
you like
too.
Dr. Sleep?
I did. I liked them both.
Yeah, Dr. Sleep is awesome. That's Mike Flanagan, man. He's an amazing director, man. He did Midnight Mass and The Haunting of Hill House and Oculus. He's a fantastic director. He really knocked it out of the park with Dr. Sleep, man. I love that.
He died. I've heard people say some good, some bad. I was like, it doesn't seem like my kind of movie, but I'm gonna watch it anyway. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I think The Shining was great. It's not a movie that I'm gonna watch all the time, but obviously that doesn't mean that it's not great, because it clearly it is.
I've really respected your journey as you've gone on along, because I watch as much as I can of everybody's content, and it seems like you've recently, within the past, I don't know, several months or whatever, with the series where you watch movies for the first time.
Yeah,
it's cool seeing people like yourself discover movies that me and other people have seen a bunch. It's always fun watching somebody experience those movies for the first time, because you're like, man, what are they going to think of it? Are they going to like it? It's everybody's experience with movies is so vastly different, which is what makes opinions great. We all have different ones. If we all had the same opinions, it'd be a pretty boring place to live. Yeah. So it's been cool watching you discover all these new movies. What's one of the movies that you've watched for the first time that you can't believe that you never watched before, or that really made a mark on you?
I'm trying to think of the movies we watched recently. And there was a lot of praise from everybody about Wolf Cop, and I was just like, no, I did not enjoy that one at all.
That's a really silly movie.
And I did not like it. What else did we watch? We watched Zombievers, which I always saw the poster and everything, and I was like, dude, that's gonna be cheesy as hell. But then I watched it, and I was like, they took that movie really, really seriously.
They did, right?
There was no joking at all. These were literally beavers that were killing people, and
that's why it works. A lot of movies like Zombievers or like Velocipaster or those type of movies will be in on the joke and kind of wink at you the whole time. Beavers just takes a ridiculous premise and plays it dead serious, and it works as a horror movie, man. It really does. Black Sheep is similar. If you've ever heard of the movie Black Sheep?
Black Sheep.
Well, it's a New Zealand horror film, but it's about zombie killer sheep, and it's also done really, really well. You should check that one out. It's fucking great. But I'm glad you like Zombievers. I love that movie.
That was a good one. I've obviously saw the original Amityville Horror, but Destiny, who does that show with me, she hasn't, and it's not really a movie you watch together, because it was kind of, obviously it's slower and a little bit more boring. So we didn't really have a good time with that one. So that wasn't a good one. But what else? Snakes. I never saw Snakes on a Plane. That was the first time I ever saw that movie.
So you guys are watching a lot of B movie stuff. Just basically B movies.
As what we picked so far, yeah. But that one was fine. It was fine for what it was. But I'm definitely enjoying, because that was a lot of the criticisms I got when I first started the channel, is I didn't really watch that many movies. People would be like, hey, did you see this? And I'd be like, no. Did you see this one? I'd be like, no. I kind of just had my slashers, and that was pretty much about it. I didn't really go anywhere else. So I've been trying to go down different subgenres of horror, and some I enjoy and others I don't, but that's the way it's going to be for everybody. So it's totally understandable if I don't like everything.
Yeah, that's the way it is, man. You can like whatever the fuck you want to like, and not everybody's seen every movie. I hate comments like that. People are such haters, dude. You're doing your thing. You're watching new movies. That's what it's all about.
Mel, what's up? So, she said Zombievers is great, and I agree. it was a fun movie. Yeah, Cody said I had no idea Zombievers were played seriously. I definitely need to check that out. I recommend checking it out. It was pretty good. So okay, that's your favorite. So out of like, what's your favorite horror franchise if you had to pick one?
If I went franchise, these questions are always so tough because they could obviously go either way. For me, it would be first would probably be, surprisingly, it's not like Michael or Halloween or Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm a big Return of the Living Dead guy. So I love specifically the first three Return of the Living Dead movies. Part three is usually tends to be my favorite. That and Hellraiser. Those are my two franchises. And more recently, like if we want to talk about new stuff, it's Terrifier. Terrifier 2 was my favorite movie of last year, and that's quickly becoming one of my horror franchises as well. But I can't quite say it like definitively as a favorite franchise because I didn't love the first one as much. But the second one's fucking.
I'm the opposite. And I see, that's what's great. Everybody loves Terrifier 2. And people assumed that I would really like it because that's my kind of movie. And I watched it and I was like, it's fine.
It's it probably, you think it was a little slow at times or something?
People know me very well. It was fucking way too long. And I was like, please be over already. I mean,
what about the first one? Did you like the first one?
I did like the first. I watched it the first time. I thought it was okay. I did think it was creepy as shit, though. I ain't going to lie. I thought Art the Clown was terrifying. Yeah. Then I watched it a second time and I was like, dude, this movie's pretty damn good for being super low budget. It worked. I really did like it. And now I know the third one's going to be coming out and I know they're probably going to get that Hollywood money. And I'm hoping that doesn't kind of destroy it and make it.
Yeah, I just dropped a video about that. The Terrifier 2 had, I think, like a $250,000 budget. The next one's going to have a 7-figure budget. So I'm hoping that just all goes. It's going to be 3 hours long.
No.
I'll take it though.
My God. That just means there's going to be more gore than there already was.
Right. That's what I'm thinking. Just like more extended gore sequences.
Buckets of blood. I've only ever seen the fucking movie once. Is the main girl coming back for the next one? Okay.
Lauren Lavera, she's coming back. Art the Clown, David Howard Thornton, the kid, the little brother, he's coming back. So the three main players are coming back. Everybody that didn't get carved up in the second one will be back.
Everybody who didn't die, which is pretty much everyone.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And Hellraiser, that's an interesting one because that's not a franchise that people really like that much at all.
I guess if I had to break it down, it's the character and the story and the vibe of it is so different from everything else that was coming out at that time. And you have the vision of Clive Barker doing the first one, writing and directing the first one. It's an auteur vision, which I always tend to be drawn to. I love auteurs and writers and directors who see their vision all the way through. I think you get a more unique movie that way rather than, a director just grabbing a script off the shelf or whatever.
Yeah.
But I love Hellraiser. Hellraiser 3. Have you seen Hellraiser 3?
I have not seen Hellraiser 3.
It's so fucking good, dude. Don't let anybody ever tell you that Hellraiser 3 doesn't rule because it kicks ass. But it's generally one of the more hated ones in the franchise of the original, like I call it the original trilogy, but 3's probably my favorite. But 4's okay too.
I was gonna say, if I'm not mistaken, isn't 3 when they tried to make Pinhead more of the slasher type of guy?
Yeah, it was more of a slasher. It was set, like in the city and stuff, and they have like CD Cenobites and ridiculous shit like that.
Okay, yeah. I know bits and pieces of it, but I don't think I've ever actually seen it. But
yeah, it's a fun one, dude. I love that one. It's really silly.
I'm gonna have to watch that. I've been diving into freaking the Puppet Master franchise recently for some reason. I watched that one a lot as a kid, so the puppets. I mean, they don't scare me as an adult, obviously, but as a kid, the puppets scare the shit out of me. And
they're creepy, dude.
I was looking at the budgets for those movies. I didn't realize they were like very small budgets to make those movies, and the effects. Yeah. The effects were great for the little puppets and the movements and everything. I know there's fucking 13 of them or something. There's a shitload of them.
They kind of like shit the bed as they go on. Like the early ones were made in like the heyday of Full Moon and Empire Entertainment with Charles Band, when he
Mhm.
was getting like decent money to make the movies before he just started making, trash. But they movies back in the day used to be able to make a lot of money off those, off
Yeah.
rentals, because they wouldn't even come to theaters. They just come straight to the video store, and all of us would discover them on the shelves. And Charlie Band was like king of the straight to video market back in the day. The motherfucker owned his own castle and shot movies there.
That's awesome.
So yeah, those early, especially the earlier Puppet Masters, are a lot of fun. I love those movies. And
They
you're
really
right,
are.
the stop motion animation is great. The puppetry work is fantastic.
I just
Really
watched
good.
Puppet Master 3 last night. I just watched that last night. That's the one I remember the
Nice.
most. The Nazis. That's the one that I always remembered.
Yeah, that's the first one to get the 4K release too, I think. I think that's the only one right now that got the standalone 4K release from Full Moon.
I looked at the fucking not that they mean anything, but the Rotten Tomatoes rating for that one was actually pretty good, surprisingly. For
Oh,
part three.
I am surprised. That
It
is
was
surprising.
pretty good. The rest of them are shitty, but that one was pretty good.
Yeah.
Cody wants to know what happened with the dude who got his dick cut off, smeared on the car window in Terrifier 2.
Maybe he'll make a comeback. Maybe he crawled to the woods to safety. I can't remember if he finished him off. I think he did just cut his dick off, and then they kind of cut away from him.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Maybe he'll come back as a eunuch in part 3 or something.
There's always a chance.
Anything can happen.
Anything. So, okay. So obviously your favorite franchise wasn't one of the big ones, but I got to know, if you had to pick, are you going Halloween, Friday the 13th, or Nightmare on Elm Street? I think I know where you're going to go, but maybe I'm wrong.
I'd have to go Nightmare. I'd have to go Nightmare. I think it's the most creative, and the most like the practical effects are really, really good. It's not as the thing is like you can't really compare Nightmare on Elm Street to Halloween. They're just too different, and Halloween's too grounded, at least in spirit, like the original ones. Nightmare on Elm Street is so creative and so surreal and so bizarre. Friday the 13th is really good too, and they have a lot of kills. And it may even be, I guess, maybe, I don't know, is Nightmare? I'm trying to think of which is more the consistent series, Friday or Nightmare. A lot of people would maybe say Friday is more consistent, but I don't know. It's tough.
That's a good question.
Because they both go off the rails, dude. They both get really silly and really, really dumb. But I love, like, Jason X is fucking great. I love when franchises get silly and go off the walls, But Nightmare is that's my favorite. You got to go Freddy.
I tried to like Jason X. I mean, that was the first Jason movie I saw in the theater with my dad. I loved it way back then. When did that come out? 2001, I think.
Yeah.
I liked it then, but I can't. I can't.
It's just too silly for you.
I can't. I want to. I want to have fun with it, but I just can't.
There's some good kills though.
Yeah, I give him that. I don't like Jason in that movie at all. I think he looks very bad.
The chrome mask and shit.
I don't mind the Uber Jason too much. I think the Jason before that's bad. It's just like Kane Hodder's face with literally just the mask put on top of it. But Jason Goes to Hell though. As bad as people hate that movie, I've actually come around to have a good time with that one. I just keep it separate from the rest of the movies, I guess.
Yeah, it's basically an Evil Dead movie.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because I'm not big on the lore of Friday the 13th. Is it Adam Marcus? Isn't he? Yeah. Didn't he write and direct that one?
Yep.
He pretty much said that Jason is a Deadite in that movie, which is just wild. So it's in the Evil Dead universe.
He did.
It's a cool movie.
He was like, I think he was 23. I think when he did that movie. So he was literally just a kid out there.
Yeah.
Making a Hollywood damn production. So good for him.
Yeah, I mean, he did the best he could, man. He made a pretty decent little movie.
It's not bad. I mean, just don't watch it as a Friday the 13th movie and you'll be all right.
Right.
You'll be all right. Obviously, you're huge into the 80s, obviously. Everything about your channel screams 80s, the look, everything about it. What is it about the 80s that just gets you going that you really love about the 80s?
It can never be like with many decades, when you look back after time, you can't recreate it, but there's something so unique about the 80s, as with like the dawn of technology, the dawn of yuppie culture, punk rock culture, um, the birth of the video store and the growth of the video store. I think that's I guess I've never really broke that down. I've never really thought about that question, but I guess when it comes when if I'm just talking about the movies, not even taking out the fashion, it was such a massively influential time for movies because the way movies were distributed. You know, in the late 70s, early 80s was obviously the birth of the video store, where you didn't need to go see, you didn't discover all your movies at the movie theater. You went to the video store, and that's where you found all those movies. You go to the video store and you'd pick out the cover that looked the coolest, and you'd come home with Uncle Sam or Slumber Party Massacre or Sleepaway Camp or Night of the Demons, and all of those movies that stuck with me until, you know, today. Castle Freak, Zombie, all those movies I discovered probably in the early 90s, but they were all rooted in the 80s. So it just stuck with me. But you just can't recreate how iconic 80s movies are. From the music, it's just such an absurd, ridiculous decade. The 90s was kind of similar, but it was just like more diluted and not as pure in my opinion, because then you also started to have like people shooting movies on digital, and the straight to DVD blockbuster stuff wasn't as prevalent and things like that. But there's just something special about the 80s, man. The video store era, you know, gore, practical gore. In the 90s and the movies, that's when you started to see all of the, you know, the digital effects and the CGI and all that started to creep in the early 90s and stuff. So everything that I love the most about the movies that I particularly like is rooted in the 80s. Yeah.
I'm right there with you. Most of the movies that I watch are obviously from the 80s. I try, like you said, the practical effects in the 80s really does make a huge difference in a movie.
Yeah.
The CGI just takes you right out of it immediately. Like, even like Jaws, obviously the shark wasn't the greatest shark in the world, but at least they attempted to give you a real looking shark. Nowadays, you automatically getting a CGI shark that you know is not even there, and your brain knows that it's not there. And as much as you try and have a good time, it just doesn't work as well.
It doesn't hit. Like, that's the same thing about like the Jurassic Park movies. Like, I should be stoked that in my era we have new Jurassic Park movies, but I know that I'm essentially just watching, like, the last movie was like a cross between Fast and the Furious and a Jason Bourne movie. It was just fucking horrible. And going back to the 80s stuff, not even just talking about horror, but even if you look at 80s action movies, you know, it was real cars bashing into one another and great stunt work and blowing up buildings. You know, there's a couple filmmakers that are still doing it. Chris Nolan's still blowing shit up. But all the action movies, if you look at, you know, James Cameron doing the original Terminator, or even some of the action in Terminator 2 was done practically, and all of that stuff. I miss the era of practical effects, man. I really do.
Ken from Mid-Level Media said Jason Goes to Hell is the second best Friday film.
I think that's getting a resurgence. I don't think you're alone in liking that one a lot.
That's a strong opinion, and I may not agree with it, but I'm not going to shit on you for that. Good for you. Good for you. We're not here to shit on nobody.
That's the way it is, man. Can't have haters out there.
No. Ken says the shark in the original Jaws is still scary. I love Bruce. Yeah, Bruce is good.
Because they didn't show it too much. They showed you just enough for it to be effective. So it's actually kind of fortunate that the one they built like didn't function properly, because it ends up, I think the movie's much better for it, because I think had they shown the real shitty shark the whole time, I think it would have went down as just another silly monster movie from the 80s. But it worked effectively as a suspense thriller because the characters and acting was so good. You know?
But what am I to say? Because I'm a huge fan of Jaws 3D, so my opinion doesn't really matter.
I've never seen it. I've only seen the original Jaws. I just pre-ordered Jaws 2, the Steelbook from Best Buy. I have not seen any of the other ones, and I want to see Cruel Jaws too. The not official Jaws movie that Seven released. I haven't seen that one, but I'm really excited to watch 2.
Jaws 3D. I watched that one a lot as a kid. I watched that one the most because it takes place in SeaWorld, and I was a huge fan of SeaWorld, so I really
It takes place in I didn't even know that.
Yeah. See, Ken says Jaws 3D is a banger. See, there you go.
That's hilarious. I need to see
love
that.
Jaws 3D. It's obvious. I mean, we got Dennis Quaid, fucking high on cocaine the whole entire time.
Was he really? How have I not seen that movie? I'm
yeah, he was
I don't know
high
what I'm doing with my life
the whole time. That's interesting, though. That's interesting that that's good. That's cool. I can't wait for you to watch that movie for the first time. You'll probably be like, "Man, that's stupid."
No, I love silly shit. There's a lot of big movies I haven't seen. Like, I've never seen the Godfather movies. There's a lot of older movies I haven't seen. I haven't seen a lot of those. Yeah, I was just watching Nick's video, his gangster video, talking about Kings of New York and what's the other, New Jack City. I haven't seen either of those movies either. There's like a lot of good gangster movies that I hadn't seen. There's a lot I haven't seen.
Hey,
it's hard to watch everything.
I'm just happy to meet somebody who's never seen these movies because I have never seen these either. They're like,
yeah, man.
You haven't seen Godfather? I was like, no.
Oh, you haven't seen them either?
No.
Oh, yeah. I want to.
They're like, you're Italian and you never seen these? I was like, no. I just never
Something tells me, Facci, that they might be a little on the boring side for you.
That's probably why I never.
Because I know they're really dialogue driven. I'm just giving you shit.
No, you're right though. I know they're classics. I know without watching them, they're probably really good, but they're not gonna hit for me because my attention span. I'm like a 5-year-old. It only lasts like this long, and then I'm doing something else. So
yeah,
if there ain't somebody getting killed, I'm probably not paying attention.
But you know what I like about fans like you who are kind of like really picky or at least have really specific tastes is it's fun to like suggest movies to a guy like you and just like, I hope he likes it. Is he going to like this one? Is he going to like it? You know, because it's kind of up or down with you, you know?
That's what I think people do like that because a lot of people think they know my taste, and then when I come back and surprise them with a movie that they thought I wasn't going to like, and then they're like,
yeah,
oh shit.
That's fun, man. That's fun shit.
So that's kind of why I wanted to do the show where we watch movies that I'd never seen because, I mean, it's probably not the best platform to do it because obviously I'm not fully paying attention to the movie, but I get the gist of what's going on for the most part.
Especially for watching shit like Zombievers and things like that. I think you're okay missing a line or two. I did not
think that movie was going to be about that, to be honest with you. I thought it was going to be something sexual as why they were calling it Beaver. But
you got to watch Teeth for that. Watch a movie called Teeth if you want.
Holy shit.
What the?
I've seen that. What is this? Oh, Friday the 13th Part 3D. I like it.
What the hell's going on?
I don't know. I think Jason's down here trying to kill me in 3D. My favorite in the franchise, by the way. Fuck, what are we talking about? See, that's what happened.
We were talking about killer beavers.
Well, yeah, killer Teeth. I have seen that one.
Oh, Teeth.
I have seen that one. That's very weird. One. But the thing is, I researched that, and supposedly that's like a real thing. I guess some women can have a condition where they kind of have like sharp.
I've heard about that.
Stuff. I mean,
I hope I don't ever encounter that. I don't ever want to see it.
I mean, obviously, you're not just like close now and eat his dick, but
look up. There's probably a whole OnlyFans section with that in there.
Teeth-filled vagina. No, we're good.
Oh Jesus!
I don't need that in my life. We're good.
Nobody does, sir.
No. Maybe there might be people into that shit. I don't know.
It's getting a little hot in here. I need to take off my jacket. We're talking about vagina teeth. I'm getting a little steamy up in here.
Vagina teeth. So I've seen the poster for Castle Freak, but I've never seen the movie.
Oh, it's great, man.
I always scroll past it, and I was like, I want to click it. Nah, I'm gonna go something else.
I'm a big Barbara Crampton fan. It's Stuart Gordon, so it's the team behind Reanimator.
Okay.
So it's Barbara Crampton, Jeffrey Combs, and she inherits I think it's Barbara Crampton's character. One of them inherits a castle, and there's a freak that lives in the basement that terrorizes people. It's another Charles Band production, Full Moon production. So
there's a freak.
It's great, man. It's good.
That's from the 80s. Is that from the 90s?
I thought it was 80s. It could have crept into the early 90s, 90, 91. I'm not sure.
Like I said, I've always seen the poster and always wanted to give it a watch, but I just skipped over it and went back
You've
to
seen
watch.
Reanimator though, right?
I've seen Reanimator. I haven't
Yeah.
seen the sequels to that one though. What is it? Bride of Reanimator and
Oh, dude, Bride of Reanimator's fucking amazing.
I
A lot of
saw
people
that.
like the effects in that movie are absolutely incredible, and it's even more wild than the first one. It's like nonstop, just like that first one is.
Oh, there's Ken. He said Godfather and Godfather Part 2, if you legitimately allow yourself to dive into that world, no distractions, it's some of the best storytelling and character development of all time. That's kind of the problem. I don't think I could I don't think I could get rid of the distractions. So
I own them all too. I have the whole box set back there, and I still have yet to watch them. One of these days, because that's the thing. I know when I sit down, and Ken's at 100% right. When you watch a movie like that, that's one of those movies you have to sit down and say, okay,
I'm watching this.
I gotta watch this shit. I can't be looking at my phone or TikTok or Instagram. I gotta watch this movie. But yeah.
So you're one of those guys. You got movies that you haven't watched, but you got them.
Oh, I got a shitload of movies that I haven't watched.
Me too.
A ton.
I'm like,
I
I'm
do a
gonna
lot
buy
of
that and never fucking watch it.
Well, I'm a stickler for like having the best edition of the movie. So I
Mhm.
figure, if I watch it and I really love it, I'm gonna be really glad I have that limited edition. But fuck it, like for something like a Second Sight release or a Vinegar Syndrome release or Arrow, it's not gonna go down in value. So just sell it if you don't like it. You know what I mean? It's like not that big of a deal to buy a movie you've never seen. To people who don't collect, it might be weird,
Yeah, true.
but.
That's something that obviously you've been doing for a very long time. So
Mhm.
how long and what got you into collecting the physical media?
I've always collected physical media in some way, shape, or fashion. Like VHS tapes back in the day were huge, DVDs, but I
Mhm.
wasn't like hardcore collecting to like put them on the shelf and file. I didn't know any distribution companies or anything like that. Even back in the day, like I know like a lot of the guys like Garrett and Christian were, you know, building their Anchor Bay collections and shit like
Mhm.
that back in 2000. I was buying a lot of those movies, but I wasn't paying attention to like companies or distribution or limited edition and stuff like that. I would just pick up a movie that I liked or that looked cool. And then I kind of got out of it a little bit. I got really into music and toured and played in a band. And then that kind of ended. And then I got really back into collecting. I still had a bunch of Blu-rays and DVDs, but it was about the time that Scream Factory really started popping off. I got like one or two movies that were Scream Factory, and I noticed they were both like the same. Like they were
Mhm.
both had a slipcover. They were both the Scream Factory edition, and I was like, "What is this? These look like the same company." And then I started going online and finding this is probably, I guess now it's close to maybe 8 or 9 years ago, maybe 10. Um, started discovering that, and then I discovered the YouTubers talking about all these, and then learned of even more companies to waste my money on. And then I started my own channel, and then I discovered even more shit to waste my money on. And that's kind of how it started. And since then, it's like the bulk of my collection has probably been bought in the last 5 or 6 years. Like all of the big shit, the
Mhm.
arcades and the animatronics and all that crazy shit, probably just within the last, less than 10 years. I've always
Mhm.
had some type of stuff, but
Yeah,
not as serious as until now. I didn't have the cash. It's an expensive hobby. So now I have, some of the disposable income to be able to buy. And there's always something. There's something that pops up every day
there
that I
is.
want to buy. You know what I mean? It's just so hard to keep up with. It's like it's never ending. It's never ending.
No, that's why I'm so glad that I follow Ken on Instagram because he's always
Mm-hmm.
posting when new steelbooks are coming out, and I always tell him thank you because he's the one. I saw him post that Maximum Overdrive was getting that steelbook release, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I gotta buy that. It's like one of my favorite movies of all time. So just got that yesterday. Had to watch it immediately because it's fucking.
Is that just a studio release, or
What the hell
was
was it?
that from Vestron? Was it a Vestron
It was
steelbook? Is
It
that
was
their first
Vestron.
steelbook?
It was Vestron.
Damn, I wonder if they're just gonna start doing steelbooks for all of those now. Those fuckers. They can just go back 1 through 16 or whatever and just start doing all of the steelbooks.
I'm a sucker. They're my favorite. I'm a steelbook sucker. Every time I find one, I got to keep buying them, and it's a very, like you said, it's a bad habit to get into because you keep finding
Mm-hmm.
more and more, and you keep spending more and more. But like you
Yeah.
said, they're not going to go down in price. They're going to be worth more
Mm-hmm.
money later. So
And even if they're not, you'll still like something like that steelbook. It's not going to go down. You may sell it for the same price you bought it, but for the most part, everything's going to go up, especially steelbooks and limited slipcovers. So you're pretty much future proof for buying shit like that.
I something about the steelbooks. I love them. Anytime I can find
They're
one,
cool.
except for I wanted to buy the original thing, but that one's a little bit pricey. I didn't want to drop $100 on that, so unfortunately, I didn't get that one yet. But I really do want that one. Garrett, my man, what's up? What's up, dude? Gratitudes. What's up, man?
What's popping, brother?
Sebastian, what's going on? Yeah, so I've obviously haven't been collecting as long as you, so it's just kind of a new thing to me. But there's something about it. Like when you get a new movie, or if I get a new mask, it's just, I don't know, something about it. It just like kind of like
it's exciting, man.
Yeah, like a little kid, even though we're grown-ups. And but
it's just like that. Like when I get home from work and I have like a couple packages on my porch. Usually I forget what it is because I order so much shit, and I'm surprised like Christmas morning every time. But it is, you get to open, like being a collector, like being a grown person that collects toys and weird shit. It's like Christmas morning every time you get something new, and then you can get on YouTube and talk about it and unbox it and share your love of that shit with other people. It's almost bigger than just collecting the item too. It's almost like being a part of something. Because I don't know. I love that too. There's something special though about getting that new figure or the new mask. I know Trick or Treat Studios there's so many masks that I want off that site because I still need the Return of the Living Dead masks. I want the Toxic Avenger. They have like a realistic toxic. Oh, it's super. They have the Toxic Crusader, like the animated cartoon one, and they have like the regular Toxie.
No.
Yeah, they have both of them. They're really, really cool.
I was watching a lot of the Trauma stuff because Christian told me about them all. And I was like, I remember watching Toxic Avenger when I was a kid. And he was like, there's a whole bunch of other movies besides that. So they're fucking, them movies are fucking balls to the walls. Those movies are fucking whack.
Class of Nukem High, Poultrygeist, Romeo and Juliet. They have some wild shit, man.
So crazy. But I didn't realize there was that many Toxic Avenger movies. I always thought
4.
I always thought there was just one, and then I was like, holy shit, there's another one, and then another one.
Yeah, there's 4. Lloyd Kaufman's a crazy son of a bitch, man. He's still doing his thing.
He is. Like you said, the Trick or Treat Studios, yeah, I'm a sucker for those. Being a huge Halloween guy, I had to buy all those, so yeah.
Did you buy the figure that they had on there? I think they had a really nice Michael Myers quarter scale.
That's the one thing that I've never really got into. I have not bought any figures. I would love to because they look amazing, but they're what were they like? They're like $120 for the ones that are like this big, and I was like, I don't know if I can do that.
I'll tell you what though, man. If you like, Halloween's your shit, right? Like that's your biggest franchise. I would say even if you don't want to go crazy, if you just find the one Michael like from your favorite installment of the franchise or something, dude, the work they do, like the detail that goes into those, when you get it in front of you, it's amazing because they're clothed. So they have like the custom clothing for it, and the paint jobs look so good because they have a Terrifier figure that I really want to get that Trick or Treat Studios did, and they have a Tarman. They have a Tarman on there from Return of the Living Dead. See, it's always something. Right now I'm thinking of like $1,000 worth of shit that I wish I could just. I just got to stop at some point.
So if I'm gonna get my favorite, then I guess I'm gonna get probably Michael from Halloween Ends. Then, so it's gonna be right over there soon.
Dude, I'm an Ends guy.
No,
that's my favorite. Halloween Ends is my favorite installment of Halloween aside from the first movie. I fucking love it. I love it, bro. Love it.
That's where I got it. I got the first one, and then my second is Halloween Ends.
Yeah.
I took a lot of shit for that, and I don't care.
I love it, dude. It's a good movie, man. I mean, that was like the debate of the fucking year last year.
I know.
People just arguing about that goddamn movie, but I can understand people who are like Halloween purists who just simply cannot accept it. So I understand that. But for me, as a casual Halloween fan, we got kills, we got a weird, creepy character dressing up like Michael and doing all this crazy shit. It's just a bonkers, crazy movie, man. If that movie wouldn't have been called Halloween, and it was like people discovered that same movie on the video store shelves. They would have fucking loved it. It's just you can't separate the Halloween, like lore from it. It's because it is so different,
I get it, but I think if they would have put Michael in about one more scene, maybe killed one or two more people, then people would have been like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
but because he didn't kill one or two more people, and like, oh, no, that's stupid.
He does take a back seat. Yeah,
he does. He's also old as hell. He's fucking
right,
about 70 years old. He just got the shit beat out of him. No shit. So, I mean, I like Corey. He was probably my favorite character in that movie. So,
yeah, he's great.
I was hoping he didn't die because I was like, oh, if he lives, then they could just continue that and he'd be Mike the new. But the Halloween fans would fucking hate it. So that would
they'd lose their goddamn minds.
They would. But like you said, that was such a highly debatable movie for that freaking October, November, whatever. Definitely did a lot of videos on it, and it was worth it because dude, that was a movie. People assumed that I was not gonna like it. That was a movie they thought he's no way. And then I walked out and I was like, dude, I loved it. They're like, are you serious? I was like, fucking yeah, why not?
Yeah. I was talking with Nick about that too, Lost River Drive-In. He fucking loved that movie too. And he's like the biggest Halloween fan I've ever met. So not everybody hated it. I saw that in the movie in the theaters, and like Halloween Ends and Terrifier 2. Those were both last year, right?
Yeah.
I think they were both. I think they were both last year. Either way, those were like out of theatrical experiences. Those two movies were like some of my favorite theatrical experiences I've had in years and years. Like the crowd was going crazy in Halloween Ends when the kid hits the floor off the balcony in the first 10 minutes of the movie, and just I don't know, man.
He fucking bounced.
It was fucking awesome.
He bounced. Oh fuck.
Fuck that kid.
I don't think that kid was an asshole though, so I really didn't care. I don't think my theater experience for that movie was nothing. Like I don't think anybody did anything. When I went to see Halloween 2018, that audience was freaking clapping and laughing and having a good ass time. I'm a huge Halloween 2018 guy too, so
yeah, that was decent.
And then Kills came out and I was like, yeah, I didn't like that.
I wasn't a huge fan.
That was a movie that everyone was like, oh, he's gonna love it. Michael's killing everybody. And I was like, I don't know. It was just there. I don't know.
Yeah. I've
come to appreciate it more now, but it's still kind of just there. So obviously favorite horror movies, but what would be like what's your I guess favorite movie of all time, period?
I always fluctuate between like 3, and it can change from like day to day. Recently it's True Romance is holding steady as my number 1. I love that movie. And then like right behind it, I have to do a top 3. I hope you don't mind.
I don't care.
Because I can't just stick to the one.
No, you're good.
True Romance, Stand By Me, Shawshank Redemption. That's the 3 for me.
I can tell you how many of those movies I've seen. Take a guess. 0.
Actually, I shouldn't do. I shouldn't do this on camera. Dude. Okay. Out of all those movies,
I've heard of 2 of them.
You have to watch True Romance. You have to do it for me as a personal favorite.
That's the one I've never heard of.
You never heard of it?
No, I'm pulling it up right now.
It's a Tarantino script, and it's fucking amazing.
Maybe if I see the cover, maybe I'll know.
You'll recognize it. Christian Slater, Patricia Arquette, Christopher Walken, Sam Jackson, Brad Pitt. It's fully stacked, and it's amazing.
Nope, no clue.
Oh, dude. So Christian Slater, he for his birthday, his boss buys him a call girl, like a hooker, and he always goes and sees a movie on his birthday. So he goes to his movie, and then the call girl that his boss paid for shows up in the movie next to him, and he thinks he's just meeting this cool new girl, not realizing she's a call girl. And they fall in love that night. So he goes and tries to get her things from her pimp, and ends up packing all of her stuff into a suitcase. Like, I'm taking my girl, and you'll never see her again. Da 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 da. But instead of taking her clothes, he mistakes a giant suitcase full of like kilos and kilos of cocaine. And he steals it from a gangster. They open the suitcase when they get back to the place. He's like, Alabama, I got your stuff right here. You're all good. They open up the case, and it's just pounds of cocaine. So now you got Christopher Walken, and a bunch of gangsters after him. Gary Oldman plays this crazy like gangster guy with dreads, and he's like super gangstered out. Dude, you have to see that movie.
Gary Oldman. I love Gary Oldman.
Dude, it's my favorite role by him. Behind The Professional, he's really good in that too. But see True Romance.
The cast you just said freaking phenomenal. So
it's insane.
I guess I gotta watch it. I mean,
you got to see it.
I got that movie's over there, and then it's like, man, maybe I'll watch Halloween 4 for the 1500th time. Let's watch.
Nah, watch True Romance. And it's not slow. It's not slow. It's a Tarantino script. He sold it way back in the day. It was the first script he ever sold.
Stand By Me. I think I might have seen it, but I'm not 100% sure.
That's a great coming of age movie about some kids during a summer who go to look for it's a Stephen King short story.
What about finding their body?
Yeah, they go about finding a dead body. Yeah,
okay.
Kiefer Sutherland, and that's a fantastic movie, dude. And then Shawshank Redemption is just an all-time prison classic.
I mean, I've heard of it, but just figured I'd never be my kind of movie.
It's good, dude.
My top 3 I don't even know if I have a top 3, to be honest with you.
If you had to, if gun to your head right now, what do you think it would be?
Top 3?
Maybe not even just horror, just like general.
Top 3, if I had to pick. My list is gonna be so bad. Like this movie, I gotta put it in. I got to. Varsity Blues.
All right, that's a good movie. Okay.
I can't help it. I grew up. I was like 10 when that came out, so I was like all about it. All good. Varsity Blues. I couldn't live without that one. I don't want to. I mean, Halloween would probably be in there, but that's kind of like obvious.
Zombievers.
Yep, Zombievers in there, 100%. I probably got to go Back to the Future.
Fuck yeah, that made Garrett happy. That's Garrett's favorite.
But I think I got to go Back to the Future Part 2 because I like that one better.
Yeah, it's so good, dude.
I don't know why I like that one better, but there's just something about it that.
Yeah, it's got all the cool like skateboard and shit and all the fun.
Work on water.
Yeah, the future. It's so good, dude. Those are solid. Those are solid. Give me one more. Give me that. Round out that 3, dude. We need one more.
All right.
Make it good.
I got Varsity Blues. I got Back to the Future Part 2, and
you got to have a horror in there.
I know. That's what.
It's got to be Halloween, right?
I want to say Halloween, but I think Halloween might be getting replaced.
Oh shit!
I talked about that on the stream with Mel the other day.
Damn, this is about to be breaking news. What's replacing Halloween?
I want to say the Lost Boys.
Oh shit! Okay, there you go. That's solid. You're safe. That's a good choice.
Something about the Lost Boys. I can't stop watching it.
You're thinking Rad Pack now, dude, because you got Lost Boys, you got Back to the Future.
All your guys' fault.
That's a rad influence right there. I love it.
I got that Back to the Future special editions over there somewhere with the hoverboard figure that came with.
Oh shit! I didn't even see that one. I got the steelbook, the trilogy steelbook.
Oh, I don't think mine's a steelbook though. But if there is one, I probably have to grab it because I got the Teen Wolf over there, so I might as well get the Back to the Future.
Yeah, that's a badass set, dude. That Teen Wolf
I forgot about Teen Wolf. I don't think that can make top 3 though. No, it's good, but not top 3 material. Garrett might think so, but I don't know. That is a good fucking movie though. The movies that mean the most to me are the movies that it all goes back to nostalgia. Pretty much, and that's what it is. I know that's what the Rat Pack is huge about, nostalgic things, and it plays a big part on your taste in movies and in fashion and whatever. It's just what
it's whatever you came up on, just like you came up on Varsity Blues and shit. Like that's just what you resonated with at a meaningful age in your life, man. That's what's so cool about movies. That's why I love movies so much, because every time you watch a movie, whether it's new or old, you can associate it with a point in your childhood or a certain time in your life, or maybe the movie's about a certain subject matter that you're dealing with. It's like the ultimate form of artistic expression is cinema. That's what I think.
100% agree. That's like, because like you said, Varsity Blues, I was like middle school years for me. I wanted to be those guys. I wanted to be on the football team and go to parties and do that cool stuff. So I watched that movie a lot growing up. I mean,
was that the one with the whipped cream on the titties?
Yeah, I mean that might have played a factor in liking it too, but that's not a big deal. and that's for that. And Back to the Future. Obviously, I watched that a lot as a kid. It was always on like USA or TNT or whatever, and I always watched that shit growing up. So, I mean, and it's like literally like a perfect movie. So
it is, yeah.
I think I was talking to Garrett about that if he would ever want that movie to be remade, and he kind of said, yeah, just to see what it would be like to go back to like 2020 and go back to the 80s or whatever instead of going back.
See, if they did that, if they updated it and you got to go back, that's what's so crazy about as you get older. Because I read it, this was about several years ago. It was like the mid 2000s or something, and I was watching. Well, so they went back 30 years and Back to the Future, right? It was 85 to 55.
Yeah.
So think about what it would be now going back 30 years. It would be 1993, which is just fucking crazy, dude. And I watched like a few years ago, I read it was like a stupid BuzzFeed article talking about that 70s show.
Mm-hmm.
And that 70s show only came out like about 15 or 20 years after the 90s. So it's like, I instantly just felt ancient. When at the time I read the article, they were like, if they made the 70s show now, it would be, it would have been my generation. And I just felt so old. But with the Back to the Future, I think that would be cool because there's nostalgia's hitting so hard.
Mm-hmm.
And you could go back to, it would, go back to the 90s. And I'm ready for the 90s to come back. Like the 80s have come back so hard. Yeah. I'm ready for a little bit of 90s action. That's why I really liked the Fear Street trilogy that they did. Was set in the 90s, which I thought was cool. You don't see a lot of 90s nostalgia, so yeah.
That I like that little trilogy. It was good. I know a lot of people like the 78 one. A lot of people like that one the best. I found myself liking the one from the 90s the best.
I love the first and the first one and the camp one was really, really cool. The third one was all right. I liked them all, but something about the first and second one was pretty cool.
Galford's dog says the 90s over the 80s. I disagree.
It depends. I mean, I think it kind of depends on what your generation is. When you grew up, I kind of grew up. I'm like one of those older millennials, so I kind of saw a little bit of both. Mm-hmm. I was born in '82, so I came up in the '80s, so I had a lot of '80s experience then, and then. But my real coming of age would have been in the '90s. But they're both great decades for different reasons,
Yeah, I was born in the late 80s. I was born in 88, so a little bit younger than you. But obviously I grew up in the 90s, so obviously I had a more connection to the 90s type of things. But I don't know. I just don't. 90s movies they're obviously there's some good, there's some bad, just like there's some good 80s movies and bad. I mean, it just all depends what you're looking for. Like Scream. Yeah. That's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Obviously, I was 8 when it came out, so and that probably has something to do with why I like it so much.
That's Wes Craven kept it grounded. That was like there's nothing really to date those movies other than maybe like some of the clothes, obviously, and maybe like the cell phones.
Maybe,
but it's just really grounded. That's what's so good about you have a good director who doesn't date the movies so well, because you could look at some 90s movies and they are so fucking 90s that it's like. You watch like Can't Hardly Wait or something like that. It's like the most 90s movie of all time. They're all great, but there's something a little more like cheesy about it. I don't know.
Speaking of consistent franchises, Scream is definitely, in my opinion, one of the most consistently good franchises there are.
Absolutely, yeah. What'd you think of the last one? Do you like it?
I walked out of the theater after seeing it the first time, and I was like, I didn't really like it that much, to be honest.
Yeah.
But then I rewatched it again once I found out who the killers were, of course. And I was like, okay, now I can try to have a good time with it. It definitely worked better a second time. The first time I was just like kind of pissed more than anything. I was like, those are the killers? Them? And
that was the thing I disliked the most about it was the killer reveal. Because I liked it a lot more than I liked 5. I didn't really care for 5 a whole lot. I still have my Scream 5 review will be coming out very soon. But I still... it was a big improvement over 5, but there's still room for improvement. I just think nowadays, like it seems like the killer in the Scream movies is almost like an afterthought. You just need the whole experience and the mystery and the characters, So it's like, I feel like that's the way with every time I talk about Scream, I'm like, the killer reveal was whatever, but the movie was pretty cool
up until that part, and then you're like, oh, it's them guys, great.
Yeah,
I like 5 though, so. We're different there. I wanted to like it. I really did. 5 is my number 2. That's how much I love that one.
Oh, wow.
I think because it reminded me so much of the first one, kind of. So that's probably why.
Yeah, I can see that.
In 7, which they didn't say, I mean, it ain't official or anything yet, but they're going to make another fucking one. They made too much money not to make another one.
They're never going to stop making those movies.
No, even if when they make a 7th one, they'll just reboot it again, and they're going to reboot Halloween.
That's the thing. I don't even think they need to reboot Scream now that they're phasing out. Eventually, all the legacy characters will eventually be phased out, and it'll be all new characters. I don't even think they need to like reboot it. I think if they just keep numbering them, and the cast and the story just continues to evolve. Like I didn't miss Sydney at all. I don't think we need Sydney in there at all. I wouldn't be heartbroken if Courtney Cox wasn't in the next one. I would not be heartbroken.
Nope.
So I'm curious to see where that one goes. I think there's a lot of possibilities. I like to see him. Maybe people be less invincible. Maybe some more gore.
What? What do you mean? They only got
people
stabbed 15 times. Not
dude, that girl who got stabbed on the bus was basically gutted, and she's like
running out
at the end of the movie.
Right here.
Yeah, it was fun. It's still fun though.
That's the one killer that kind of got me because he was obviously trying to help her off the train. So I was like, oh, it must not be him then.
Yeah,
but I don't think they really cared about killing Mindy. I guess so.
Nah.
Yeah. Mike Mel says most consistent killer reveal in a franchise. It was whatever. Exactly. That's
kind of what it. That's very true. That's a good point.
We don't really care. Give us some good kills and make the story semi-decent. Whoever the killer is, whatever.
I wish Samara Weaving would have hung around for a little bit longer. I thought she was going to be a bigger player in the movie.
Yeah, she was in for 5 minutes. And it's maybe dumb on my part, but when she spoke, I was like, oh, she has an accent. I did not know that.
Yeah, she's Australian.
Because all the movies I've ever seen her in, she didn't have an accent, obviously. She just spoke like an American. So I didn't know she was from Australia. I was like, wow.
She's great. The first thing I saw her was The Babysitter, and I didn't know she was Australian either. Yeah.
Babysitter was good. I like that movie.
Yeah, it's good.
The second one was all right, I guess. That's what Jenna Ortega was in the second one, right?
Yeah, she was. I didn't care for the second one as much.
No, me either. But then again, I'm not. Are you a huge Jenna Ortega fan?
I like her. I think she's a better, she's kind of like becoming she's not really a character actor. She kind of just plays herself every time. So if you dig her vibe, I think that's what's popular about her is just her vibe. And of course she's beautiful, but I don't think she's an amazing actress. I just think she's catching a good moment and she's good on screen. But she doesn't have a lot of range,
Okay. I just want, it's nice to find somebody who has a lot of similar views as
Oh, are you kind of over the whole Jenna Ortega hype train?
I think she's fine. She's fine. She's not terrible, but I don't think she's like God's gift to cinema.
I was really digging her a lot, but I thought after Scream 6, I thought her sister, who I did not like her character, the older sister, I didn't like any of the side characters in the sister in number 5. Number 6, I felt like they made all the characters better, and the older sister ended up outperforming Ortega, in my opinion, by miles, which was really surprising. So Jenna Ortega is just the type of person that has to be cast correctly. Like Wednesday was perfect casting for her. I thought she was good in X as the mousy little kind of quiet. It just depends on the casting. I don't think she's had her. I know she's huge. She has Wednesday. I still don't think she's found her complete voice yet, but I think she will. She's going to be in Beetlejuice, so I can play in the same type of character.
I know, right?
Too. So,
Cody, don't you mock me. Jenna Ortega is God's gift to cinema. Don't mock me. He's a huge fan of Melissa Barrera. I was a huge fan of Melissa Barrera as well.
She's beautiful. She's a good actress too, man.
I think that had something to do with it. She's looked very sexy killing people, so good for her. Good for her. And no offense to Jenna Ortega. Jenna Ortega kind of looks like a very young girl. So it's kind of like, should I even be looking at her? Probably not. But I think she is like 21 or something, isn't she? She's older than that.
I think she's 20 or 21. She just went viral last week because there's footage of her smoking a cigarette and the internet lost its fucking mind. She's smoking a cigarette. It's like, I mean, she's 20. Every 20-year-old grabs a cigarette every once in a while.
You're going to jail.
Yeah, it's like, Jesus Christ. Just a kid living her life.
Oh fuck, man. So I think you're my fucking longest episode of this yet. To be honest with you.
Oh shit.
I think unless no, Garrett was like 45. I think everybody else was like 45. We're almost to an hour 10. So
I tend to ramble a lot. I ramble. That's why
No,
they call me the rad. They don't call me the rad ranter for nothing.
no, it was good. It was good. Shockingly, we had very similar opinions on a lot of things, which
Yeah, we did. We lined up on a lot
I
of stuff,
didn't
didn't we?
expect. So that was pretty cool. Definitely, if it was a first date, I thought it was pretty good. So
I think it went pretty good. I think it went pretty good, man.
Cody, Cody, you weren't on for 14 minutes, man. You were on for like 45 too. And that was the first every episode I've done so far of this show was with somebody, that I've met for the first time. I haven't done anybody that I haven't met for the first time, except for when Christian comes on next. I've obviously met him before, so
yeah.
But that'll be fun. But I really enjoyed this. This was fun. I had a really good time. The chat was pretty cool. I really enjoyed it, and I want to thank you again for even taking your time to come on and hang out with me for a little bit.
Of course, anytime, man, anytime.
That was a good time. The third member of the Rad Pack finally on the channel. Go support him on his channel. I got the link down in the description. Go check out the Rad Pack where you can find Garrett, Mel, and Justin.
We really want to push that. Sorry to interrupt, but we are really trying to push that Rad Pack channel. So if people want to just type in the Rad Pack, you'll find us where we got a bunch of really exciting stuff coming up. The anniversary show, the year anniversary show of the Rad Pack is going to be coming up, and we have so many cool things planned for that one. So we hope to see people there. July 17th, our year anniversary show. So
yep, I got the message last night from Garrett because we had a stream next week, but he had to cancel on me because
we're scrambling trying to get a bunch of shit together. It's been rough.
So no, he felt bad for asking me to change, but it was not a big deal at all. We just moved it to a different time. So I'm glad that I could help you guys out and so you can get your stuff situated.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Not a problem at all. You guys are the best. I appreciate everybody. If you're watching after the fact, please like the video and subscribe. If you are not, I'd greatly appreciate it. And Justin, thanks again for coming on and hanging out. Greatly appreciate you, and very surprised that we had so much in common that I didn't think we would. But
hell yeah, brother.
I really appreciate it. Everybody out there, have a good rest of your Thursday night. And I'll be back next week. No, wait. Yeah, next week. Doing something. I don't know what, but just fucking come back anyway. Peace.